Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Guys 2024. Welcome to another reaction video where today we will be looking at Penguinz0 reacting to the Technoblade LARPing situation, which, if you guys don't know, there is a segment of channels out that involve LARPing, which is where they basically take the persona and the content ideals of a certain YouTuber and they apply it to uh, whoever the YouTuber is that they're implying to be. And in this case, it is Technoblade, because Technoblade passed away in 2022, or 2023, I think it might have been 2020, but anyway, Technoblade passed away in the beginning of 2022, or roughly 2022 to be exact, and in my opinion, I think this whole LARPing thing is getting a little out of hand, so let's see what Penguin0 is going to be talking about for this ordeal.
I've got a bit of a weird thing that I want to blabber about for a little bit. I've been aware of the LARPtuber community for a few weeks. Chat put that puppy on my radar. In a nutshell, it's basically a bunch of people that have made channels to emulate other YouTubers. So they take on the persona like Larpiplier, who does like old school Markiplier style content. They do similar mannerisms, similar videos that they made back in the day. And there's LARP tubers for a ton of channels. Like there's one for me, one for so many others, and it's like a growing, like blossoming community.
And also, this is actually something that I actually talked about on a short video that I posted on my channel, but I had to take it down because there was a lot of people who were defending this whole ordeal about LARPing and how it's just um how it's a trend and how sometimes it could be paying homage to a certain YouTuber. I don't believe in that sort of thing. If you're gonna pay homage to a certain person or a certain YouTuber, just do it in a more respectful way. Don't try and take the place of that person because they're gone or because they're not a certain way that you remember them as. Because in that sense, you're practically just making money off of someone else's name. And in most cases, it's without their permission.
And I think it's all in good fun from everything I've seen. And then today, Matt's been really like today. Matt's been like locked in the mainframe. He's been seeing fucking everything here. Like he's got Pegasus's Millennium Eye. Matt asked me if I had heard about the guy pretending to be Technoblade. And instantly I already knew what that was going to be about. A like LARP tuber that's doing Technoblade content, which I feel is a really weird concept in and of itself because Technoblade passed away in 2022. It feels
Yeah, that's
weird
right.
if you're trying to try and emulate him and in a way kind of pseudo take his place in that content and use that to get views, make money, that kind of thing. So I decided to put my peepers on it to see, like, well, what is he doing? Because maybe it's like very respectful. And in doing so, I saw that Technoblade's father actually made a statement about it as well, which we'll get to in a moment. And after, perusing a little bit, I feel like the guy's probably approaching it with good intentions, but I still find it to just be off-putting. For example, he's playing with Technoblade's friend Skeppy in a video, like so he's actively trying to collab with Technoblade's friends while pretending to be their deceased friend. Like that's some like Skinwalker type shit. Like that just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
And that's actually something I was trying to talk about when it came to specifically Technoblade. Because, like Penguin0 just said, like, he passed away in 2022. People mourned him, people were upset that he was gone, and even his father was rightfully mourning. So for someone to literally say, hey, I want to make a channel dedicated to Technoblade, do I have permission to make the channel? In my eyes, that's a sign of disrespect because you're just taking up the mantle of someone else, but just molding it in your image to pay homage or to take the place of someone else who is already popular, and you're earning ad revenue and views from that person's name. And even you can even see it like down below on this video right now. You can see it. That image is just Technoblade's image with a different color scheme. There's no creativity when it came to making that image. And like I'll even look it up right here. I can even look it up from here. I'll look it up right now. Like tech no TechnoLarp. See? TechnoLarp. See? It's just a recolor of the crown, a recolor of the vest, and that's it. There's nothing special about this icon. It's a recolor, and even this guy has even made a whole Minecraft skin that's a mirrored image to Technoblade. And there's other things too, like look at this.
TechnoBlade's dad has officially spoken out in regards to how he feels about TechnoLarp. So as all of you likely know, back in 2022, popular content creator TechnoBlade sadly passed away. More recently, it has become a trend to LARP content creators, so that's basically where people pretend to be popular content creators, and well, someone decided to become a TechnoBlade LARP. The person that goes by TechnoLarp sounds exactly like TechnoBlade, he acts like TechnoBlade, and he's even gone as far as to make a collab video with TechnoBlade's best friend. In my personal opinion, it is quite weird, and while TechnoBlade's dad spoke out and he just said that he really doesn't know how to feel about it, his response to it all is inconclusive and he just doesn't really know how to react.
See, even in this short video, Technoblade's dad doesn't even know how to feel about this. So if Technoblade's dad doesn't know how to feel about this, and if Penguinz0 has already said clear as day that it's weird for someone to be doing a LARP channel about Technoblade, then what are people doing with making LARP channels and content based on the people they're supposed to be? Like, they're literally taking the image of the famous YouTubers they're supposed to be, and they're molding it into their own image while still keeping the spirit of the original YouTuber. Like, they're practically stealing the essence of the original YouTuber and using it for their own gain. And Technoblade especially is the one that is mostly being used because he was so popular with Minecraft. And for TechnoLarp, and I am calling him out on this, for TechnoLarp to think it's okay to be doing this, and I know a lot of people are going to say it's a trend, that it's a way of paying homage. It's not paying homage to anything. If Technoblade's father doesn't know how to react to it fully, and if some other YouTuber, or if more than one YouTuber is saying that it's weird, then there is something wrong with the LARP community as a whole, or on certain levels, there is something wrong with the LARP community that makes it look wrong. Because not only are they taking the name and taking the icon of the original YouTuber, but they're practically using their name of the name of the original YouTuber and using it for their own assets for getting views and ad revenue. That is the purpose behind it, and I don't approve of that sort of thing at all. And I swear, if I find a LARP or LARP the Hedgehog or whatever that's supposed to be a cheap knockoff of my character, I will outright sue them. I will sue them directly because they would be stealing my form of content, my name, my icon, and I will absolutely sue any person that would ever do that sort of thing because I would not approve of that sort of thing at all. And people should not even be supporting this sort of thing for LARPing because it doesn't seem right. They're technically stealing the person's name and recording style and making it their own. And there's even other versions of this. Like there's LARPD, a recreation of Sunday. Look at this. And this was posted a month ago, 3 weeks ago, by LARPy. A month ago, LARPy. See, this person is changing so many aspects of his freaking of his stuff. And look, Larpenter, Mr. Larpenter. That's literally a. There's like so many things are wrong with making LARP based videos. But let's get back to Penguinz0's ordeal.
Today's the day you've all been waiting for. Skeppy collab.
There's only one game mode we can play right now. Do you know what that game mode is?
It better not be sumo.
It's not. It's
Okay.
not.
I don't know, maybe I'm on the crack pipe here, but to me it really does feel like it's more than just paying homage and like a wholesome kind of tribute to Technoblade's legacy and like that style of content, and more so now that he's actively trying to be a replacement here in the community for Technoblade, LARPing as him. But I don't even think he's doing it maliciously. I do believe that this individual is a big fan of Technoblade, and he doesn't use a gold crown. He does silver to show that he's not, Technoblade's level. He's just the guy imitating him. And according to his description, he is saying that he's in the process of deciding where the money that he's earned from this Technoblade LARPing is going to go, like to what charity. So I do get the sense that this isn't a bad person here. It's not some mustache twirling supervillain doing this for evil reasons or anything. But I also still just don't think that this is necessarily a good thing either. And like I
Even and this is honestly another point. People are saying, and this is coming from me, because a lot of people were saying on the video that I uploaded a long while back that, or a couple of days ago before I took it down, that this is paying homage to Technoblade. And Penguinz0 just said here and now, or on this video that was uploaded when? Like, yeah, 2 hours ago. This was uploaded 2 hours ago, and Penguinz0 just outright said that it still isn't a good thing to go through with, even if your intentions for it seem or appear to be good. So yeah, I understand this guy is trying to pay homage. He even showed that he was in the process of doing a charity, or sending the money to a certain charity. But at the same time, it still isn't right, because you're stealing the original image of that YouTuber and you're using it to make a profit off of it. And then you're using that money to send it to a charity. Yeah, the cause that you're trying to do it for is justified, but the way that you're doing it still isn't right.
mentioned, Technoblade's father has responded, and it feels pretty obvious that his father is just in a really uncomfortable, awkward spot with this whole thing. So first and foremost, TechnoLarp does open.
Wait, okay, let me read this for a minute, because I actually haven't seen this part of the video, because my OBS studio was being stupid. It says Technoblade, whose first name was Alex, was one of Minecraft's most recognizable creators and prominent members of the Dream SMP. He died from cancer in 2022 at the age of 23, with his father announcing his death through the video So Long Nerds. Before receiving a public response, TechnoLarp acknowledged that he had not obtained permission from TechnoDad. And yes, I'm watching my monitor right here is showing YouTube. This is my OBS studios. However, he agreed that TechnoDad knew about the channel and had not asked him to stop. And then it shows the comment right here from TechnoLarp. I never got permission, but TechnoDad has seen me and has not had any intent to stop me as of the moment. We don't know his thoughts yet. Let's give him time to figure out if he likes it or not. TechnoLarp, July 5th, 2026. So this is actually 5 days ago that this message was found, or was found or submitted to by TechnoLarp. So he even blatantly says that he knows that TechnoDad never gave him permission to make that channel with the image of Technoblade. He never gave him permission to make that channel or that content. Even though he said flat out that, oh, well, TechnoDad knew about my channel, but he hasn't stopped me. It doesn't matter if he hasn't stopped you. It's a matter of having permission to do that sort of thing. Because like if I made a LARP channel of Jacksepticeye or Venturian Tale, you really think I would really just go as far as just to do it and not expect any negative feedback from the YouTube community? Like, you can't just do that sort of thing without having permission from the original owner of that channel. Like, there's a fine line. And he even says, "We don't know his thoughts yet. Let's give him time to figure out if he likes it or not." So he doesn't even know if TechnoDad even likes the idea that TechnoLarp is making this content in the image of his deceased son. So let's go through some of the things that are wrong here. He made a channel in the name in the style of Technoblade. He's making content in the style of Technoblade himself. He's involving himself with Technoblade's friends, who sees him as a cheap iteration of Technoblade himself, and think he's replacing Technoblade. And he received no acknowledgement or no permission. Oh, let me move my webcam thing because you guys probably can't see it. Even said, and he has not been given permission by TechnoDad that he was allowed to make content or the channel based on Technoblade himself. So there are numerous things that are wrong here that TechnoLarp or any version of the LARP community is missing here. This is clear proof that this TechnoLarp channel is in the wrong. And he's masking it by saying, "Oh, well, he hasn't done anything. We can get away with it because he hasn't done anything to try and stop us." It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You didn't get permission from TechnoDad to make that channel or to make content with the name Technoblade or with associating your name with Technoblade. You received no permission from it. And the fact that, and I'm saying this as respectfully as possible, the fact that people in the comment section of my short video that I had to take down said that it's paying homage, this is a clear sign that it's not paying homage. This is a sign of someone who's just trying to make their asset of doing YouTube more scrutinized and more unhinged than anything, because they're stealing the essence of what Technoblade was, and they're molding it into his own image. And people are supporting that sort of thing. And I don't know about you, but this is seriously something that should have been taken into accountability before a single video was even uploaded to this TechnoLarp channel.
Openly state that he never got permission from the family to do this. I never got permission, but TechnoDad has seen me and has not had any intent to stop me as of the moment. We don't know his thoughts yet. Let's give him some time to figure out if he likes it or not. I don't love that statement from TechnoLarp because he's apparently reached out multiple times to talk to TechnoDad about it, to get his feelings on it, and hasn't received any response, so he's taken that silence as like a thumbs up to keep doing it in the...
And that is what is wrong. Without permission, without verification that it is okay to do something like this, that puts TechnoLarp in the wrong for even starting to do that sort of thing. If he started on making one video that involves the name Technoblade or associates the name of Technoblade with his LARPing trend, then it's not paying any homage to anything. If he hasn't gotten a response on anything that approves or disproves how TechnoDad feels. So that is the problem that TechnoLarp is going through that I still don't approve of.
Meantime, like, I feel like if you cared enough about it, you'd probably wait to hear his thoughts on it instead of still just going hog wild with it. At least that's what I would have expected if this is truly, all about being respectful and everything, considering you are making a career out of LARPing as this man's deceased son. And according to this article, TechnoLarp said his monetization was disabled, claimed he would not earn revenue unless TechnoDad allowed it. I haven't found that post on his Twitter, so maybe it was somewhere else. And I also don't know if that's referring to like donating the money to charity, because right now, at least judging by the about section on his channel, that is his plan with it. So I don't know if like that's what he's doing temporarily until TechnoDad decides whether or not he's allowed to make money personally from it or not, which I think would be fucked up. Not sugarcoating that, not pulling any punches. I think that would truly be pretty sinister there. At least right now, you can say that the money's going to a positive cause through this whole thing.
Yeah, even Penguinz0 is saying that even if he had permission, it'd still be a screwed up situation to literally be pulling right now. Because, as he just said, he's practically posing as Technoblade with the terminology of LARPing. And if you guys don't know what the term LARPing means, it's practically an acronym for live action role playing, which I don't know who came up with that name or that terminology, but that is the stupidest terminology I could ever hear come out of anyone's mouth when it comes to content creating. Who in their right mind would make it their all-time goal to literally go on the internet to roleplay lively on YouTube or TikTok or wherever they're doing it on to pose as a famous content creator? Because in that way, you're technically stealing the name and the look of the YouTuber. And in some ways, I could kind of see that as identity theft in many ways, and you're making money off of it, which is also just as wrong. And even the fact there's even a Penguinz0 LARP or a Penguin LARP 0 channel that's dedicated to focusing it on Penguinz0. Like, why? Penguinz0 ain't dead. He ain't retired. Look at him. This was uploaded 2 hours ago. He ain't dead. Why do you think it's okay to do that sort of thing? Markiplier ain't dead. Why are you thinking it's okay to literally do this sort of thing? Why? Because you missed the old videos? There's a thing called literally going back onto that person's channel, rewatching the videos, and literally enjoying those videos. You don't have to make all these LARPing stuff, this whole LARPing trend. If you enjoyed how someone used to make content, rewatch the video. Have a bit of nostalgia. Don't go out of your way to try and earn money off of someone else's name and say, I'm just LARPing as this person. LARPing is literally the dumbest term. And I refuse to literally hear that term again in my entire life.
Thing, but if it does end with him trying to like personally financially gain from it, I think that'd be an entirely different story. And I've already seen like the cope and like the false equivalents where people are saying, well, what about Michael Jackson impersonators and Elvis Presley impersonators, which are very popular? I think that is a dog shit argument with fart on top. I don't even think it's worth getting into the weeds of it.
Okay, okay. With that, I actually haven't heard about because I just saw this video today, which will probably be yesterday since tomorrow I upload my videos every Saturday. But given the fact that I just saw this video today, I actually have not heard a lot of people are making that argument until just now. But saying what about Michael Jackson impersonators and Elvis impersonators? First of all, you can't make that argument because there are numerous people around the world that very, very rarely look like famous celebrities. And if they want to show off that they look similar to those celebrities, that is their choice. You can't you can't help how someone looks. I mean, look at me. Some people, if you look closely enough, you put me in a picture next to the slightly younger version of Tobey Maguire, you could probably see that I look like Tobey Maguire when he was in his 20s. Not that I'm saying that I do look like him, but I'm just saying it as a blunt example. But like, you can't compare someone being an impersonator of a famous celebrity and compare it to someone who is live action role playing as a YouTuber who passed away, or as a YouTuber who is still relevant but isn't doing the same source of content that you enjoyed. That argument isn't justified.
There is such an obvious difference between a YouTube creator like Technoblade and fucking Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley. Like, I really don't even think it's worth yapping on that further. I think anyone that can activate some neurons should see why this really isn't a great counterpoint by any means.
Exactly.
And another thing I've seen is people saying that Technoblade himself would find it entertaining and would give his blessing. And maybe, but you don't know that. Nobody knows that. So it's not fair to just write it off saying, nope, this is all good because I'm sure that he would be giggling at it too. And it feels like that's just a way for people to like hand wave maybe a guilty feeling that they get by watching this content potentially. I don't know. But there's no way of knowing how he would respond to it, unfortunately.
And that is also true.
So all you can go by is like, well, how does his father feel about it?
And that is also another thing that I actually should have considered. What he just said. People are saying that Technoblade would technically approve of it. You don't know that. He's gone. You don't know how he would have reacted. Would he have found it entertaining? Yeah, most likely. But would you really go out and say that he would approve of it? I don't. I think he might, but you don't know that for sure. That's one thing you just can't outright say because you don't know that for sure. If you knew, if he was still here and he saw the content that was being made in his name, he would probably approve of it, but at the same time he probably wouldn't. He probably wouldn't approve. So yeah, you can't really just say that sort of thing and think that it's okay to still do it.
And I think that's a very fair thing to look at because this is his son that is now being LARPed by this individual. So what does he think? He said, I've been avoiding addressing this for a while now. I just don't know how to react to this. I mean, certainly it's flattering to Techno, but like, what am I supposed to do? I will say that TechnoLarp has reached out to me on a few occasions to get my take on things, and I have been putting that off for a while. I just don't know what to say to him. Lately, I've been feeling very much like I just want to hide in my room and work on my scripts and space visualization software. Some days I don't go outside, it's very peaceful, and I really haven't had enough peace in my life. I feel a little guilty for how I've kind of disappeared from the community, but I know I'll come back at some point. Anyway, my response is inconclusive. I'm still ruminating on the whole thing. A totally understandable perspective here. It is a confusing and uncomfortable topic and thing to even be thinking about as a father with a son who's passed away. Like that, and especially in his case where for years now there's been like a ton of like fucked up things people have been like doing and like sending his way. So like, yeah, it's something that he's very clearly conflicted on because, as he says, on one hand, it is like very flattering to his son, like what impact his son made on so many others to such an incredible degree that someone wants to like literally try and be him and entertain through his son's style that he helped innovate and pioneer. But it goes beyond just being inspired by him to try and do content. It is literally trying to wear his skin like a fucking flesh suit, like a flesh Gundam, and be the Technoblade guy.
Yeah, and honestly, that's something I was also trying to touch up on that short video I was posting. The fact that this guy was going out of his way to pretend, or the fact that I mentioned that there was even one of Technoblade and that it was highly disrespectful. If I had made a sequel to that video and people were asking like what I meant by how it would be disrespectful to Technoblade, oh, this is why I'm making this video now. But Penguinz0 makes a point. It's one thing to be inspired, but it's another thing to literally go out of your way to literally wear his skin and be him and practically make it as if he never really died. Because in that sense, you're technically just making a false sense of news that this LARPing scheme is gonna bring back Technoblade from the dead, and it's not. He's gone. He left a legacy for his father, and he even said he doesn't know how to feel about it. It was even said right here. Where is it? It even said right here that he was avoiding the entire thing. He was trying to work on himself, and that TechnoLarp has been trying to reach out to him, and he's been putting it off. And he even says that he's still ruminating on the ruminate. I don't know how to say that word, but he's been thinking on the whole thing. So he hasn't even given his own thoughts on TechnoLarp posing as his deceased son. So I don't get how that's being allowed on YouTube without getting any sort of confirmation from the parent of Technoblade. Like, how is that even remotely acceptable at all?
Back at some point. Anyway, my response is inconclusive. I'm still ruminating on the whole thing. With Technoblade's friends like that, as the Technoblade LARPer, it is something that feels like it's encroaching on that territory, and I don't believe that's okay, and I think that's a very uncomfortable position for his father to be in. He also replied to a user on Twitter who asked, how do you feel about people who see you as Techno's replacement? I am not a replacement. I'm an obvious knockoff to entertain people. I could never be him. And that's the right lip service, but when you are actively collabing with Technoblade's friends, you are now going beyond just paying homage to the creator that you're emulating. You are now directly getting involved in that community as the Techno LARPer. So naturally...
Yeah, let me look back on that. Let me actually look at this. Alright, let's have a look on this. So, this is a person named Chica, and they say, I feel like TechnoLarp could be quite quite triggering thing for Skeppy. Am I too exaggerating? And then TechnoLarp replies saying, I thought so at first, but he called me. I didn't call him. And then he said, oh yeah, that's crazy though. How do you feel about people seeing you as Techno's replacement? And then he blatantly says that he's not a replacement, even though he is clearly putting himself in a position to where he's involving himself with a friend of Technoblade. And yeah, that's another line I don't think should have been crossed.
By integrating yourself in that way, beyond just making like videos that are kind of tributes to the content, or like, you know, just meant to entertain and remind people of like the incredible work that Technoblade did, it just feels over the line. At least to me, it does. Like, doing LARP tubing on the whole, I think, is totally fine. And it feels like all of them, for the most part, are coming from like a place of good intentions and good fun. And it's been like really, you know, a lot of silliness and wackiness, but at the end of the day, it's all like very wholesome for the most part. And even in this case, I don't think this is a bad guy or anything, but this is just very different than the others, because this is someone that is no longer with us, and now you are making a career off of impersonating them, like one-to-one, integrating yourself into his community of friends as well, and integrating yourself into the family by constantly reaching out, and instead of waiting for them to give their perspective on it, whether or not you have like their blessing, like, which I think would be a very nice gesture, you...
Okay, I'm gonna say that I will say this. I will say that Charlie is being a bit more forgiving on the whole aspect of LARPing. I know he's saying that it's meant to be silly and fun, and I can imagine that it would be, because I have seen a reaction to Markiplier reacting to the LARPiplier channel, and I will say this, and I will say this out of respect for at least the LARPing community a little bit. I can understand that it is meant to be just funny, and I will respect it if people choose to do it. But if you're gonna start infringing on the idea that you're gonna replace someone like with this Technoblade situation because of how someone isn't doing that sort of style of content and you want it to be brought back, that's kind of over the line in my eyes, because you're kind of just rewriting history from your perspective as if you're the one who is that Markiplier LARPer, or that Crater LARPer, or that Sunday LARPer, or the Technoblade LARPer. Like, you're kind of you're trying to, it's like you're trying to rewrite history and making it as if you're the one who made the channel first, and you're trying to make that silly content in the shoes of that original YouTuber. And I can understand why they're doing it. They're doing it because they find a source of, like, respect from that YouTuber, and they feel inspired to do it. And I can respect that. I can respect it if someone makes a secondary channel that uh that coincides with, like, someone that I know. I can respect that. But, like, if you're gonna try and, like, associate your name with theirs and mirror the content that they did just to relive moments of the past that they created, that's over the line. In my eyes, that's over the line. But that's how I feel on it. I can respect the idea of LARPing, but there is a line that some people should not cross, and this is the line that I think that TechnoLarp is following through with by crossing.
You instead just take their silence as just the go, 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 put your foot on the gas. Like, it just, I don't think that that's, like, in the good spirit of, like, LARP tubing. It would have been significantly better had you just been someone that was very clearly inspired by Technoblade and making your own content as your own content creator, paying homage to it and growing that way, instead of just instantly being like, no, I'm just the TechnoLarper. I'm just going to be the Technoblade guy. So if you ever need someone that can kind of sound like Technoblade and makes Technoblade content, then collab with me. It's just, I don't know. I don't love it. Like, be honest with me. Am I on crazy pills or something? Because I do kind of get similar vibes to how individuals or even corporations will use AI to bring back celebrities who have passed away for their own self-interests. Like,
Okay.
now, of course, you can argue, well, there is no self-interest here because he's donating the money to charity, apparently. But even with that being the case, yeah, that's a positive thing. He is benefiting in a big way. This is a very successful YouTube channel. This is a very successful career he is building here. So,
And that's something I was also trying to, something I've repeated before, even in this video. He's benefiting off of the idea of making Technoblade mirrored content. And I think that's a bad thing to be doing. You can't just slap your name in the remnants of Technoblade and remake the content and say that you're going to donate the money to charity, and say that, oh, you're not benefiting from it. You technically are, because you're gaining that money, but then you're going to send it off to a charity. You're sending that money to a charity, but you're still receiving that money. Like, you're still getting that money from YouTube because you're making that content that people love. And yet, when it comes to having the money, you're just giving it to a charity, which is respectful, and I think that is a good thing, like what Penguinz0 said. But it still doesn't change the fact that you are technically still benefiting off of it.
solely off being the Technoblade LARPer, one-to-one, and being in his friend group as well to solidify himself there. So, like, he is benefiting in a big way without permission from the family, and he has reached out to try and get that permission with no response and still just doing it anyway. So, like, they feel kind of similar to how some people use AI, but not even to get into the can of worms there. Like, point is, I don't love it. I think it is weird. I don't think he is a bad person. Like, I don't think he is doing it maliciously. Like, these are probably things that he doesn't even really think about. Maybe he is just a super fan who had a voice that was similar, loved this content, and wanted to keep the spirit alive now that LARP tubing is going so well online. So like maybe it is coming from a good place, but I just don't think that it's the most overly respectful thing to be doing. I don't. And I do really feel bad for Techno Dad, who is in a very uncomfortable situation with the whole thing.
And honestly, I will say too that I also feel bad for Techno Dad for having to be pushed in this situation. Well, not pushed, but be brought into the situation because, as Penguinz0 said, it seems like it could be coming from a good heart of a fan, but TechnoLarp probably didn't think about this through fully because he hasn't fully thought about should he ask for permission first before making the content. Like, that's something that should have been considered since day one. And that's something that even I had to go through because there were several sources of content that I had to literally look through that looked like they were just cheap imitations of other channels. Which, even on my second channel, like, I've done some videos that are somewhat similar to other channels. And I'm not saying that I copy it directly, but I do try to make it somewhat similar in a sense of inspiration to make that source of content as noticeable as possible. But in this instance, with Technoblade, he's doing it without the permission of Technodad, and I think that's a slap to the face. Not just a Technodad, but also a slap to the face for Skippy, who was friends with Technoblade. But yeah, I I still highly doubt that this is even a right thing to even talk about anymore. But I'm gonna leave this video right here. So yeah, I've already been recording for like 41 minutes. I'm gonna have to edit the whole thing, but I hope you guys enjoy this video. And to those who literally saw the video, the short video that I uploaded before I took it down, please understand that I wasn't trying to hate on the LARPing community as a whole. I felt uncomfortable with seeing duplicates of a famous YouTuber that I personally watched. And I don't think it's a right step to do if it's like how the TechnoLarp is how the TechnoLarp channel is doing it without permission, without authorization to make a channel that's meant to be an homage or an inspired video based on a certain YouTuber that either passed away or is currently existing. Like, I feel like that's a slap to the face for for that YouTuber that is still around, if it is involving that YouTuber, because they're still relevant to make content and you're just stealing the image for your own gain. And this video of the TechnoLarp situation is proof of it. Because if you're making a lot of views off of someone else's channel and you're putting your name on it, and you're earning ad revenue from it, you're technically benefiting off of someone else's name that you're LARPing from. And that's not right to do it. It's not in any way. And that's why I made that video, because when I saw those channels all in the list from Markiplier to Sunday to even PewDiePie, the LARP channel for PewDiePie and Technoblade and Craner, when I saw those channels, I didn't feel comfortable with people making those channels. Not just because one of them passed away and he was a living legend that was even referenced in the Minecraft movie, but also on top of that, they're technically benefiting off of other people's names and making a profit off of it, which is in many ways technically considered identity theft because they're stealing the name and image of that YouTuber to make money off of it. But that is how I feel about that. I don't personally get my microphone. I don't personally like it. I don't really approve of it on YouTube because, like I said, it's technically considered identity theft in a way. But if people have good intentions to do it just for a laugh, that's fine. But if it's a situation like this with with the TechnoLarp, where he's not even getting permission to make that channel, and they're benefiting off of that channel directly, then that's a completely different situation. And I think that should have been considered since day one. But other than that, I'm going to leave this video right here. It's already almost 12 a.m. because I was recording it late and I was going to do another project, but I couldn't do it because no one really showed up. But I'm going to leave this right here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any critiques about this video being long and how it's just an extension of what I initially said about this whole LARPing trend, please understand that I'm only doing this because it's how because I'm expressing myself directly. It's in no way meant to knock anyone who approves or enjoys looking at this source of content. You can watch this content if you choose to, but I personally do not approve of it at all. And neither does Penguinz0, because he even said it in this video, he doesn't think it's right. But other than that, I hope you guys did enjoy this little reaction video. I know it's a long video. I'm sorry about that. Penguinz0, if you have any comments about how I feel about this situation, then I I hope that I didn't offend you by, you know, by adding stuff to what you were trying to say. I do apologize if I was. But yeah, if there is anything that I may have missed that I may need correction on for the situation about certain things I've said, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'm not trying to say, hey, reach out to me if there's anything that I said that's wrong. I'm just saying, like, if there is anything that I did mess up on, I apologize for it. And if there's anything I should add to it, then yeah. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and be sure to check me out on my second channel where I recently uploaded a video of the werehog fight between Rogue and Shadow. So I think that was pretty nice, even though it was only like an 8-minute video. It was like an 8-minute video for me recording that video. I thought it was longer because I was in VR for so long, but be sure to check me out on my secondary channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.